Right, good evening, guys. Welcome to Fishing Squad. Well, not out fishing for a while, so I'm doing a little video, just a bit of an explanation about the old setup we've been using lately. 88 pound Dio Braid, 8 strand Dio Braid to 100 pound Tronics Pro Xeon Leader. Um, what I've found is, um, if you watch the videos, I've used a lot of mono, um, 30 pound mono on my main line, spooled up on my reels to 60, 70, 80, 100 pound leaders. And what I've recently found is I've bulked things up a little bit, we've got 88 pound Dio braid, 8 strand on the reels. It's the same diameter as the cheap £30 line or majority £30 line on the market, and it's stronger because what it's enabling me to do, I'm bending hooks out, I'm getting gear back, and that's good, isn't it? You don't want to be leaving stuff on the seabed if you don't have to. Now, when I've fished rough ground before, I should have stressed that where I fish most of my fishing, pretty much all the rock marks I fish are heavy ground marks. So you need something to break out of the bottom, whether it be mono with a with your shock lead or not, which is usually the first port of call. It's the weakest point in your setup, really, if you're fishing with big big rigs for big fish, or if it's your bottom bottom setup with a weak link on your lead. Basically, if you with mono, if your hooks get stuck, it's curtains. You're losing your leader and your rig. So the basic shock leader knot that we used for mono was just a standard spider hitch. Tried using the Bimini twist, and what I was finding, it's just too much of a tight knot for rough ground. It keeps it's really tight. When you're snagged, it can part anywhere because the knot's so well made and cushioned, and there's so much strength in that bit that you spin around the main line. I just don't think it's a very good knot for rough ground. And the amount of times I had the mono, part in my hands when you've been pulling for a break, it's gone into double figures probably. So I don't use that. Not currently. I haven't got any scissors to hand. Yeah, so this is just like the basic spider hitch. Just to explain how you can shift the weaknesses in the mono setup in a better way to using braid. So we're just gonna, if I'm not showing you how to tie a spider hitch. I'm just doing a demo. Basically, that'll be a spider hitch, and that's when you get snagged and you pull for a break. That's going to be the first port of call to snap. If that doesn't snap, it'll be a weak link on your lead, and if both don't snap, your rig's gone, your leader's gone. Obviously, your shock leader will part. Your shock leader not apart. By doing braid, you can create weak points in your. I'll show you. That'll snap. Yeah, it's first port of call where your main line meets your leader. It's going to be when you're snagged. That's definitely the first port of call that it will part on. So let's look at the braid. So with braid, you've got you can fish it. You could fish it straight through, but I'd advise not to. I'm not trying to dictate to anyone, tell them what to do. I'm just advising not to. Now there's several setups with braid that you can use. If you're looking to cast, I'd use like a lower poundage braid than the one I use. But you've got to weigh the pros and cons up of is getting gear back more important to you, or is casting further that much of an importance? You've got to weigh things up. Do you want to be tying shock leader knots every 2 minutes like you do with mono, or do you want to be ragging gear out the seabed? Still catching fish, maybe not casting as far as you were, but maybe in time with some practice you will do. I know what I prefer to do. Now, if you want to cast in the short term, just carry on, maybe improving your casting, but still have the same capacity on the reel to do the same. You could put £30 braid on your reel, still carry on losing gear and stuff, but your casting might be improved. I don't know if you're just doing a standard cast. I've never done it myself, but I've seen posts from people that they say it works superbly. It flies out, so that's great. Personally, I'd rather fishing rough ground, especially. I think this is the main way of getting your gear back. Still casting a reasonable distance, still catching fish, and just not spending loads of money on terminal bits all the time. Getting Gemini splashdowns back off off of rigs that have got hooks bent out, it's worth it for me. So yeah, £88 8 strand Daiwa J braid to £100 Tronics Pro Xeon Leader. That's what I've been using. Now you could fish it straight through, like I say, braid, but you've got to think if you're fishing a rough ground, and same with if you use a braided leader. This is where your rod tip would say be up here, say it's up there. The line will come down, but it might run on the seabed like that. It's not forced to be at a 45-degree angle to your rod tip, is it? So it could run on the seabed like that. So over a period of time, when it's moving around in the tide, braid's probably not as highly resistant to abrasion as mono. You could get nicks in it, and then when you do cast out, it could snap, and you're leaving braid on the seabed, which takes a lot of time to rub down. Whereas mono will probably take 6 months if there's been plenty of storms to wear it out and get rid of it, depending on how strong it is. With braid, it's a bit suppler. It isn't as abrasive resistant as mono, but it's like string into it. You could be making like fishing nets if you lose loads of that on the seabed. So I think if your mark's rocky, you want to be using a mono leader. Some people struggle with wind knots and stuff. I haven't up to press. I did when I put last time I put 4-strand on a multiplier, I did have some wind knots. But no, sorry, take that back. The last time I put 4-strand on a fixed spool reel, I did have some wind knots. But I've used this H-strand. It's lovely and supple. Like I say, I've used it in really strong tidal situations, and it's never been an issue. It's just fished lovely, as well as £30 mono would do in the same situations. It hasn't created any extra resistance because it's a more denser material, I suppose you'd say. But yeah, I use it with a mono leader purely one for that with abrasion, because if you get a fish on close in and you're on your own, you don't want to be grabbing £80 braid when it's a £20 fish to pull up because you'll cut your hands. You could, like I say, I don't think it's as abrasive resistance this to braid to mono. So if you catch it on the rocks, it could snap, lose your fish. So yeah, I like it with a mono leader. So I'm going to put a demo in of the knot I'd tie. I like to use this knot. I'd rather use this particular knot than just a standard, like, I don't know. Some people use a uni to uni, but what I find is if you cross the braid over the mono like this at any point in a knot, well, directly, should I say, it just creates a cutting action on either of the materials, probably the mono. And I find that knot, you can use any knot here. You could use, I don't know, a blood knot, I don't know, blood knot to blood knot, uni to uni. They will work, but I think you need to put more. It needs to be more like going down the Albright knot route rather than, because it's more cushion. It's like cushioned, isn't it? An Albright knot. This is like a diversion of kind of an Albright knot. I don't know what the exact term of it is. I will show you the knot just as a quick one, and I will put a section in of more detail depending on how we go. So you just make a loop, pull the line through, and then I'll do it quickly and I'll just show you what I mean, because I've shown you that when the lines crisscross, I think it creates a cutting element where it could cut through the mono and create, a weakness, potential weakness. There's loads of knots to try, but I like any that you see on YouTube or wherever. They all want to have wraps around the mono leader because it cushions everything. It's a lot stronger. The more wraps around the mono leader, I think the stronger they are. But I will show you in greater detail in a second this how to tie this knot. It might be at the end of the video. But what it does, because it's cushioned, it's not like putting direct crisscross, cross one material to another. So when you put pressure on it, it's not going to cut in. This locks rather than cuts across. It's cushioned and it locks. That's why I believe I've been getting more gear back than ever before. Obviously, might look a little bit more bulky than one of them knots that I talk about when you can do one knot to another knot of the same style. Blood knot to blood knot or whatever, uni to uni. But this knot is stronger than them. Been bending, got some roll meat hooks out, mustard O'Shaughnessy's out. And then you could just bleb the ends on that with a lighter. It is a nice, neat knot, and it is super strong. I think I've had to tie 2 leaders up in the last 5 months since I've been using this braid. I've even had my leader snap rather than the knot. But what that does is, in comparison to the mono setup, that now isn't the first weak point, isn't the first point of call for a weak spot, if you like. You're then going down onto your rig now. So when you pull for a break, always use something you can wrap round as well, to pull for a break. A bit of wood, probably not one of the kitchen utensils, but always use something, because obviously you don't want to be, even gloves, I wouldn't suggest us using gloves. But you want to wrap it round something. I use a metal bar off a tripod, just drop the spool. Make sure you wrap it round like that and don't cross it over, because if you cross it over, when you pull, it can cut across itself and snap. So you pull, when you snagged up, you pull, and then that's not a weak point, whereas it is with a mono setup. Let's move these out of the way. So you pull in with that, and you're getting direct pressure on your rig. Now, if you're fishing 88 pound braid to 100 pound leader, you can have a 30 pound weak link on your lead. If that's your lead that's stuck, that'll snap. So you get your rig back. If it's a hooks that's stuck, and the lead even together, you'll bend your hooks out. Especially these style of hooks. If I'm bending Cox and Roll meat hooks out, mustard O'Shaughnessy's, your Kyoki wide round specimens, your Tamers, your BMXs will bend out off the seabed, which is good because you get everything back, and then you just either have to redo the snood and everything else is sound. And the swivels, the little power swivels that you can get in the yellow packets, they're superb. Never had one of them even distort when I've been pulling for a break off the seabed. But it's all about getting your gear back with this setup. And then if you get a fish on, you've got your mono leader, you've got a lot of strength in your main line. This what I've just tied that leader knot up with is £70, but it's still decent stuff. You might want to use £70 rather than 80 or 88 because it's just a little bit suppler. I haven't tested. You can still get gear back. I haven't tested it with a weaker braid yet, but it's working fine for now, so I'm going to stick with that. Hoping to get up to Scotland at some point this year, possibly. And I'm just warming it up a bit with these braid to mono on my reels. Just warming it up with the braid to mono setup on my reels for obviously skate. But it is good if you want to get your gear back. It is good. Like I say, I use a mono leader. I know some people you can fish straight through. If it's a kelpie mark, you probably sound to fish straight through. Oh, the other thing is you could do is just put a 3 foot length. If you do fish straight through, for instance, or even if you use a 100 pound mono leader, if you want to really switch and get broke out and just have your leader every time you reel in, that's your pulley swivel. Run a length of 60 pound mono above from the swivel up, connect it onto your leader, and then you've got a weak spot there that'll snap out when you get stuck. Just an idea that I haven't tried it myself, or if you really wanted to, like this is like a bite end. If you're not targeting taupe, if you're just targeting horse, and this was a mono rig, say, you could have £100 here, say 12 inches, then do 2 foot of 60 or 50, and it'd snap out. It'd leave it on the seabed. That's what it's all about. I mean, I haven't experienced. I know my mate Lincoln, he uses a braided leader. I haven't experimented with braided leaders, um, so I can't really comment. I don't, the thick braided leaders aren't experimented with, so I can't really comment. I've seen it on other people's YouTube channels, but I can't really comment on that. I just initially feel that I prefer to use mono. So yeah, well, I caught a decent conger, a couple of decent congers last month. One of them was on the £88 Iowa J braid to £100 leader. I had to lift it up a rock face, and the leader, this leader from Tronics Pro is superb, by the way. I had to run it up a rock, up on the rock space. I was pulling it, thinking this is going to part, this is going to part. Roughed it up a little bit. Didn't look like it was going to shred it. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? You want to be getting covering everything that you can and getting as much gear back as you can. I think on rough ground. I know some people like to use lighter lines and stuff on reels. That's fine. This is just how I do it, and I get that for casting. Yeah, definitely. And I don't think that braid is necessarily a casting braid as such, and not in that thickness and that strength. But it does cast. It does work. Give it a go. That's all I can say. I hope it clears it up. So basically, I'd always use a mono leader if you can, and you shouldn't when you're snagged up. You shouldn't spend most of your time retying leader knots. It should just be have a tiny new rig on, lead, etc. Maybe some new hooks. That's how it should be. So it's a lot less of a headache. I'm not even having to. I had to buy any shock leader for the last few trips because I've just not been using it, other than on my slosh. So it's been good. I hope this makes sense to everybody. Kind of. I'll put a demo in of that knot now. Just hopefully it's giving some people some ideas of give them some ideas of what they might like to do. Like I say, it's not gospel; it's just what works for me. Give it a go if you can. So you're just pinching the mono to form a loop here. As you can see, you're literally just folding it back on itself. Leave a decent tag end. That's the start of the knot. Then you feed the braid through that loop, coming through towards you on the R side of it. So you've just made a loop in the mono. You fed the braid through the loop with a decent tag end on it. That's all you've done. Then you're making a loop in the braid. There, like that. Yeah? Then we need to go over, wrap this up 10 times. Trying to show you without blocking the view. So you need to go around this 10 times, one after the other. With braid, because it's a stiffer material than mono, you get a bit more leeway with stuff. It doesn't just flick out. Look, you can hold it a bit. that'll be about 10. Then so you've got that then now. So you come in, you did a loop in the mono, come across it, threaded your braid along the front of it, then brought it back and made a little loop in the braid here. Then you just hitched it up 10 turns. Then you want to go back into here, wrapping that to that side of the original loop that you made. You want to go around it about 6 to 8 times. I hope this helps, guys. As you can see, it's quite fiddly. Anyone who I'm fishing with, they want me to give them a demo on this, I'm more than happy. It's a really easy knot. Once you get to there, start pulling the braid. Hold the tag end and the braid in your finger, and you're holding the leader in the other hand, and just pulling it. See how it's cushioned though? As it cinched down then? That's what I mean about it not cutting into each other. That locks. It's as easy as that. Cut the tag ends off. You can cut it really short and bleb it with a lighter if you want. Don't know how this one's going to cut because my scissors aren't. It's not cut too bad. The tag end's done. Yeah, so you can see it's a nice little neat knot, and it is cushioned. It's cushioned the thickness of thick braid. What have I done now? I've just got it wrapped up. Typical. You can see how it's cushioned it because it goes onto the reel this way first, so you've got plenty of cushioning for when it comes down through the rings, from the braid on that side of the knot. It's a lovely little knot, that. Absolutely lovely. Strong. It's the most important bit, getting the knot. There's some better ones than that. This is the easiest one I find to tie. And there's some that you can really go to town with, some real, loads of wraps. They can be like that long. But that hasn't let me down yet, so I'm sticking with that. And it's an important knot, this. This is the important knot to getting your gear back. That's the most important part of getting the gear back first. And then the next important part for me is probably sticking a weak link on your lead and a rotten bottom system on your lead. Then you just got your hook end to bend out. That's just after, obviously, when you fish rough ground, it's inevitable that you're going to drop some leads. Now I've just had a look at that. I'm not going to slow it down. I think it looks all right, that knot. It's not exactly very well focused, but it's the best I could do with big hands. I think you get the gist. Something else with braid, if you use it on clean ground, on beaches and stuff, it is quite useful. You can use it in 60 pound if you're using 6 ounce leads. You don't need to use leaders, do you? Because it's pointless. It works quite well. If you don't have a leader knot, if it's a bit weedy on the beach, you've got nothing for it to wrap around when you're on the reeling and stuff. So yeah, it's good for that. Hope it's a bit of use to some people. This video might be some use to Wayne, my mate, who were asking about my setup. So yeah, it's just simple as that. Also, when you're wrapping up, when you're snagged up and you've got something to wrap around, I don't think Mitch will be too impressed if I use that, but like I said, wrap it so you don't cross it. Don't cross it, because if you cross it, it could cut into each other and it could snap. Try bouncing it a bit as well. You might just give it some of them. Sometimes you can bounce your lead out, or you can bounce your hooks out if they're just gently hooked into something like a bit of rock or something. I've done it because you've got so much direct pressure and no stretch. That's what braid gives you, unlike mono. You're in direct contact with it, so anything like that, it really does give it a bounce. Right, nice one. I hope that's some use to some people. Give it a go. It's just my take on what I've learned to do. A few people have given me pointers prior to this, before I've sort of done it for myself. Yeah, I've experimented with braid before. I think I'm going braid, guys, now. It's just so much less of a headache. Save so much money. And as long as you're not leaving braid snags in the sea, which you shouldn't do with the mono leader, it's win-win, isn't it? You could also drag people's gear out that have been using mono. It's good. So nice one. Other than that, a bit more concept for the channel. Keep safe, tight lines. I'll see you in the next one. I'll be out very soon. Thank you very much. So here we go. 2 of the strongest hooks you can buy over the counter for sea fishing in the UK. We've got a 7.0 Mustad O'Shaughnessy. Look at that. It's crumpled it up. An 8.0 Cox and Roll meat hook. Again, bent it out. Get out that snag. Get your gear back. Get your swivels back. Get your splashdowns back. If you don't give it a go, you're mad. Or maybe it's just me that's mad. Anyway, guys, you get the gist. It's definitely worth giving it a go on rough ground. See you later.